Hello, welcome to Cultural Spectrums and Jazz Pearls. I'm your host, Eric Frazier. We have a fantastic program in store for you today. We hope you'll enjoy it.
We're going to be talking to two brothers who did prison time who were wrongfully convicted. And we have a sister who's on the other side who does healing, transformation, and they're going to speak to the community just about how can you walk a mile in my shoes? You know, and even though they had those trials, how they turned their trials into triumph, how they came out and turned their life around. So yeah, that's what that's about.
And this is Nzinga. And tell me.
So this idea of this came from me just seeing a woman walking on a hot summer day. It was 100 degrees and the temperature was 100 and the humidity was 100. She was creeping walking, and I was wondering, why is she walking like that? Come to find out, she didn't have any shoes on her feet, so she didn't want to touch the hot concrete. I pulled over, bought her some shoes. They weren't expensive. It was a variety store nearby. I bought her some shoes. And after that, the idea came to me, you know what? Can we walk a mile? Can I walk a mile in her shoes? She didn't even have no shoes, but would I be able to survive like that? And that's where the idea came from. But can you walk a mile in my shoes? Yeah.
So this was your idea that you thought of and you made
Yes.
it come true,
Yeah.
made it a reality.
Right, because it's a way to give back to the community, especially since the Social Justice Network, who I'm a part of, we're about giving back to the community, the less fortunate, anybody who's justice impacted, homeless, houseless, jobless, who's been incarcerated. We deal with a lot of people who are re-entering society after prison or incarceration. So that's the people we deal with. And we want to just give back. Just give back to the community in a way that, especially in East New York, they got what you call $1 million blocks in East New York. And they call them $1 million blocks because the prison industrial complex is making so much money off of incarcerating these brothers over here and sisters. And that's a damn shame, so we gotta stop. And that's why I had asked the panel to come so people could see, even though you have a setback, every setback could be a setup for a comeback. You don't have to stay back. You don't even have to go to prison. There's other alternatives. But the system is like designed for that, especially, and they target East New York, Brownsville, and Bed-Stuy because they're making money off of them.
Thanks to you.
Yeah.
You're an angel. And because of you, many people are seeing another way, finding another way.
Hopefully.
And benefiting. And walking
Hopefully.
in those shoes.
That's
that
right.
you gave.
Hopefully.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Part of the
Yes.
cohort is that we're able to like deep dive into patterns and trauma and sacred space and really delve in, and there's a curriculum
Excellent.
that geared
Excellent.
towards system and justice impacting individuals, but anybody.
Yes, and we need that so bad in our community. Rennie, tell us a little bit about the work you're involved in at Family and Friends of the wrongfully convicted.
Family and friends of wrongful convicted. Well, what we do is we help people who's impacted by wrongful convictions, right? When I was in prison, I would reach over the wall and explain to people that I was in prison for a crime I didn't commit. My words fell on deaf ears. So today, my organization has become the voice of the voiceless. To the present day, we have 27 exonerations. We got a guy out. We got a guy out real quick in Louisiana. He was in prison for raping 2 white girls in 1977. I didn't know what a hymen was until I heard his case. There was 2 twins. One of the girls' hymen was still intact. She was being raped and abused by her cousin. She came home one day with a scratch on her neck, and her mother asked her what happened. This is in Louisiana. She said, a black man tried to rape me. So her mother jumped in the police car, ran around. I don't know if it was the first guy that they seen, but they snatched up The brother, he was in jail at that time for 44 years. He had a 100-year life. The lawyer that we got on the case, his wife is very Christian, she's very Christian-based. She said, honey, I believe this guy's innocent. She told him to get behind it, so we got behind the case. Now this is in Louisiana. It's real rough down here, like it was in New York City. So we went down with the evidence and showed him that he's innocent. The judge said, I'm not letting him out. So we went and got CBS involved, right? So when CBS got involved, we went down there again. The judge said, I will let this guy up. He got a son as a sex offender. So we had to go tell him, we had to go inside the prison and said, listen, we got some good news and some bad news. Good news is you can go home today. The bad news is they want you to sign as a sex offender. I said he was in jail. He was in prison for 44 years at that time. He said, I'm not signing up as no sex offender. We kept pushing. By God's grace, the judge did the right thing and wanted to release his guy. Had this been in New York, it wasn't in my heart, right? We also got 5 clemencies. A lot of times, we can't get people out for being wrongfully convicted and innocent. So we petitioned to the governor and asked him to let them out based upon a record of rehabilitation. We got 5, right? We just got a guy out in New Jersey last week. And we got 7 modifications. There's a lot of time you got guys that have been in prison since they were 17, 18 years old. They've been in jail 20, 30 years. So because of our reputation, our credibility, we go to these county DAs. We say, listen, this guy been in jail since he was a teenager. He don't know about consequences. Because your brain don't work well until you're like 25 years old. So we petitioned to them, and they let 7 guys out for modification, right? We also got a van service where we send families up to see their loved ones. We try to make it easy for them. Again, I was in prison. I served 27 years, so I know what it's like. So we provide a quarterly van service for families. We get them food packages. We get them money. We got a support group. Most of the support group look like a lot of you women's in here who have husbands, sons, husbands, sons, nephew, whatever it may be. We got a support group. Nicole Hamilton, an instrumental husband, was wrongfully convicted, Derek Hamilton. She shared with them what she did to get her husband out. Right? This is something we do. Although this is our mission, because of our lived experience, we get involved with other initiatives too. I don't know if y'all know it, but this 2 years ago they killed a black guy in Mid-State Correctional Facility, beat him to death. We got behind that. Derek called me, showed me the video. He said, we got to do this. We got it on our phone. We call every phone incarcerated people we knew. We had a town hall meeting with about 1,000 people. He said, yo, we got to get behind this. This is our George Floyd moment. We can't let them get away. We know what it's like in prison. We got these experiences. And we just went and told the governor. We went to our office first. They called us in because they tried to stop us. And I said, we're not stopping. We had some demands. We said, if these demands are not met, we shut New York State down. We had committed for public assistance. We just had rallies. And to the present day, we got 8 prison guards indicted. We got 10 prison guards indicted for killing Robert Brooks. And we got 8 others convicted. 3 of them were sentenced to 25 years of life. That's why I was sentenced to 25 years of life.
Wow.
I didn't notice at the time because we wasn't doing this work for no notoriety, no publicity. We were just trying to blaze justice and injustice. We were trying to wake the community up to what was going on. And we know these are some of the things that happen in prison that a lot of people ain't know. But the news came to us and told us in the history of this country, that many white people have never been convicted for killing a black person. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
87 days after they killed Robert Brooks, they killed Messiah Newton right across the street. What message would they send us?
Yep.
No matter what we do. So I said we got to intensify this campaign. They said, what do you mean? I said we got to attack state entities. We got to stop the trains. We got to stop the 61st Street where they take your money with the cameras. I forgot what they call it up in Manhattan. And you go past, they take your money and all. You know what I'm talking about? We got to attack state. So we intensify the struggle because we felt it was a disrespect. We saw the same DA. You got to indict these guys too. They want them indicted. Some of them on trial. One of them just got found guilty 2 days ago. So this is the work we're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We've been consistent doing. I have a lot of lived experience in this area. Like I said, and when I left prison, I made a commitment to myself. I want to leave as a fireman, Robin, because I want to come out here and help put that fire out that I once started with outside. So the work I'm doing today speaks volume to that. So I just try to cover all social ills. The sister spoke on this, on this question. She spoke about the $1 Million Block. When I was in prison, I was familiar with that. My twin nephew, they live over. That's on Alabama and Blake. $1 Million Block. $1 Million Blocks is this: when they lock 10 black or Hispanics up in East New York, and they do 10 or more years, that price tag exceeds $1 million. This is how they make money off our community.
Yes.
And we gotta break this cycle.
Yes.
I said I was gonna end on this, but I gotta end on this. There was just a little baby just was brutally murdered, right?
Yes.
That's 3 families that's destroyed.
Yes.
The 2 individuals that just locked up and the baby, right? It doesn't make a difference what happened. It just paints us as black people in a very ugly light. When people outside the community look at these type of crimes, it pains us. So that's why they say it's justified when the police kill one of us. I just had a discussion with my nephew just now on the way here. I said, what would have happened if the police would have killed one of them guys when they locked them up? We got to divide the community now, because the black community want justice for what they did, right? But on the other hand, the police killed them. We got to get in front of the 8 ball, the bottom line. We got to make education more cool. One of the ways we got to get these guns out of these kids' hands. Right now, they think carry these guns, it's cool. They're shooting them reckless and not caring where they're shooting at, and innocent people are dying. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
So, yeah, wow, thank you for that. So, this is a question for all 3 of you, because I heard criminality. Elson said he was raised in a family with criminality. You talked about addiction. You also talked about incarceration. How much of a part would you say the system and society played in your lifestyle choices growing up? And let's start with you, Brother Elson.
Lifestyle choices. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of us come from single-parent, female-headed households. And so that's one of the first root causes of dilemma, because you don't have a man that you can look at across the street, across from you at the kitchen table, teach you morals and principles. Not to say that women can't, but a lot of times women are overwhelmed by just keeping families together. And besides being nurturers, we need that firm hand. So in my instance, my lifestyle choices came from what I saw in my community. And like Rennie said, when you grow up in a community where education isn't a priority, faith and religion isn't always a priority, or isn't a greater influence than it could be, and then you find yourself becoming victim to the streets. And a lot of times, those negative influences, help shape your moral barometer. So you start, because crime is a moral problem, first and foremost. It's about what type of ethical values you have, what kind of moral values you have. And when you tend to have values that lessen you as a human being, and you don't see the person in the neighborhood as a human being, then it allows you to have more of a predatory type of mentality, which can lead to crime. So a lot of times, we all know about social, economic, political conditions that happen, that give rise to all the defects of our community that cause our stagnation, our arrested development. You know, all these things are factors. But first and foremost, if you don't have that proper moral compass, then your lifestyle choices can be corrupted and you can wind up going in the wrong direction.
That's what's actually happening in our community. And that's why it's so important, I think, for us to come together like this, because we got to start thinking about, because the one thing that's going to save us, I believe, is our unity. We are so powerful. Black women, black men, powerful. The only thing that's going to save us is our unity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Turquoise.
Yeah, thank you for that, because not only unity, but the conscious collective. So the more that we learn, the more that we grow, the more aware that we become and we share with each other in community, the stronger that we are. So I was born to 2 drug-addicted parents. I ended up in kinship foster care, so me and my siblings went to Big Mama's house where there was a little more structure and discipline, so I was able to excel in school. I was able to go to Girl Scouts and do the things, right? And when I talk about being systems impacted, I include my family system, right? Along with the public school system, healthcare system for people of color is just what it is. So my caretakers passed away because they had health, like diabetes, bronchitis. My cousin, my great aunt's daughter, who's my cousin, would come to our parent-teacher conference with her oxygen tank, you know, so it was a burden on her taking care of my mother's children. When they passed away, I went to real foster care, right? So now I'm with strangers, and I would like stay outside. I would stay in the library till it closed, but I was outside. I wouldn't want to be in the house where I didn't feel like I belonged. Some of the houses had like bike chains on the refrigerator, right? So, pushing like to get back to like a different family member. So it was just a lot of inconsistencies. But the one thing that I had at the same place was school. So I went to school until up until the 10th grade. But I was still like in and out. My mom was getting her act together, but it wasn't like stable, right? So I ended up in a group home. My grandfather was raising me from the penitentiary in a group home. He was writing me letters in the group home. As a teenage girl, like to teach me about the street, because I was very much outside, right? So, and in that, I still ended up being trafficked, sex trafficked by an older man, right? In that, I still was able to get my GED and learn some things, like pick up some skills, right? But, and compared to being homeless or not being able to fend for myself, being at that grown man's house wasn't that bad. You know what I'm saying? But eventually I ended up being on my own, but when I was on my own as an adult, I really didn't have the soft skill sets to do a job interview, to get a job. So what I knew was sex work. And I stayed in the game for about 12 years, right? And that eventually the lifestyle started taking over, and that's how I got deep into alcohol and drug addiction. All those systems like led me to arrest the bullpen. I am very clear that the only reason why I didn't do any time of state, it just depended on the attitude on the mindset or the mood that the judge was in that day, right? So the judge like, cool, do a program. So I could do a program. You know what I'm saying? I could do 30 days. I could take a break from the street. I also want to say that I've also spent times, like sometimes not in the program, but in the psych ward. You know, so all of those systems, we just talk about like the collective environment and society, right? But what I did learn was to navigate all of those systems, right? I learned how to talk to the doctor the right way, to get what I want, right? And I'm talking about survival, just being able to be a little bit comfortable in unpredictable situations, right? But survival breeds identity, right? Healing returns us to our essence. So after going through all of that and nearly dying from an overdose, I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision to live, because I was slowly killing myself, because I didn't see no future. I thought that everything was always going to be this way, always going to be getting locked up, always going to be in an emergency room, always going to be hurt, you know? And in that decision, just not to use drugs anymore, not to use any mood or mind altering substance, I was able to give myself a chance, and I ended up going back to school. Because of patterns, because of family, like my son too had to go to ACS twice.
Wow.
You know, so I had to go get my son back. I had to go against him and get my son back. So all of that was part of my healing. And
Can we
April
walk
19th.
a mile in her shoes, y'all? Can we walk a mile in her shoes?
April 19th, I had 14 years with no drugs, no alcohol. Next month, my son will be graduating from college.
Wow.
So, thank you. Just being very intentional about healing and being very clear and understanding, okay, this is where I came from, and not to like be like, there's no hope, right? Like just to be hopeless is really a tragic thing.
Yes.
So keeping hope no matter what the situation is really important as we navigate systems and society as it is right now.
And that's a perfect example. Every setback is really really a setup or a comeback. We don't all see it that way, but that's basically what it is. Thank you for sharing that.
I just want to say one thing to you, sister. I learned that hurt people, right?
Yeah,
And your hurtness, today you're helping other hurt people
Yes.
in our community.
Yes.
But to that question, right? 40 years ago, I would have used a crutch and blamed the criminal legal system and my community for the lifestyle I lived, right? But I don't do that, you know. My mother taught me moral values and Christian teachings, but I went outside her home and learned a lifestyle that was totally different than the one I learned in my mother's house, right? I got a brother who grew up in the house with me, 2 years older than me, may he rest in peace. He ate the same food I ate, went to the same schools I went, hung in the streets, you know, playing basketball, whatever. He didn't never go to jail. I was in Spofford, I was in Rangers Island. All them systems did was make me more tougher, make me think that I could handle this situation. So when they released me, I could go back out there and continue in that selfish, reckless, and destructive lifestyle. I don't blame them. That was poor choices and bad decisions I made. And as a result, it led me to going to prison for a crime I didn't commit. Right? Anytime a child leaves the home without the blessing and guidance of the parents, they end up on an empty pursuit. That's what happened to Kevin Rennie Smith. Right? I realized that today. So when I was in prison, right, it took me 17 years. Because you know, sometimes we need a wake-up call. My rock bottom was when I got on the phone and called the sister I was with at the time. 17 years of my incarceration at the time. Because prior to that, I was so deep in the mud, all you could see was my eyeball, the mud of recklessness and destruction in prison. Because I came to prison with the same lifestyle. And she said, "Rennie, your son killed somebody right here in East New York." And I'm from Beverly-Stuyvesant. I went back to that cell, put a sheet up, because you don't want people to see you praying, because that's a sign of weakness. I got on my knees and I said, "God, I don't know when the last time I've been before you. Please don't let my son fall as hard as I did." Like I told you, I had 25 years of life. I said, "God, I would do anything if you don't let it." When I left out the cell the next morning, a brother who's like a mentor to me, you know, he just came to me. God said it to me, looking back. And he said, "Rennie," he said, "if you go home tomorrow, what you want to do?" All I had was a destructive lifestyle. If I came back home, I just came out and continued with that fire. 17 years of my incarceration. He told me to start going in all the programs, self-help programs. I went and got my GED after 17 years. When I first went in the first therapeutic program, everybody was in the room moved to the other side of the room. You know why? Because they thought I came in there to hurt somebody. That's how ugly I was in prison. If my mother would have seen a mirror of my life, she said, "That's not my son," because he didn't raise me to be that. She taught me better than that. Although she was but one parent, they didn't have much in my life in our household. I made them decisions to go out in the streets and do the things I did. And I said, when I leave prison, once that light went off, I went to GED, I got some college, and I went back and I started helping other brothers, because God used me as a tow truck to come back on the highway that I left them brothers stranded to help them too. So I want them to leave prison. I said, I'm leaving prison in better condition when I came in. Because I know if I left prison bitter, I would still be in prison. That's why I could do the work I do today. You know what I'm saying? I could go out there and do this work. But like she spoke about, right, this is one of my serious issues. In America, black people are fighting two wars. Right? One is eternal, that's us hurting and killing each other. And two is them white supremacists that be killing us too. When we do away with that internal war, and like the sister said, we unite as one as a people, you know what I'm saying? That eternal war will cease to exist. But we gotta pull together, we gotta become better. You know what I'm saying? I go out and I talk. I used to work for Man Up right here, 12 years ago. And I'm from Beverly-Stuyvesant. And I used to come and they used to call me, and I used to come speak to these young brothers and these young sisters, and I used to speak to them about consequences and effects of their actions. I said, just like you want to hurt this little brother and kill this little brother, this sister, and your mother wants you home tonight, think about it. Their mother wants them home too. We got to get these young brothers and sisters to thinking. The young brother that they caught, 18 to 21 years old, those are our family. We got to get in front of the 8 ball. So for me, I made poor choices and bad decisions. I'm not blaming nobody for what I did. Thank you.
Wow, so such profound story. You know, a lot of people have have a perception about people who have been in prison, right? They have society, we know society has a perception already. Can't get a job, can't even barely apply for a job. What is the biggest misconception society has about formerly incarcerated persons? I'm gonna let you start.
It's that scarlet letter. You know, they look at you as incorrigible.
That's right.
And that's something that you always have to carry around. But for me, I made it a point. When I first time after I got sentenced to 20 years, I went to the parole board in my 10th year. And I pled not guilty to my crime. I didn't do the crime, I pled not guilty. And even at the parole board, they asked me did I do it? And I told them no. But one thing I did tell them was the fact that prison might have saved my life. Because on the path of self-destruction that I was on, if I had continued on that path in the free world, I probably would have ended up like my brothers, may they all rest in peace, that are deceased today. So prison saved my life, and they granted me parole. So when I came home, my mentality was to shake off that negative stereotype of being incarcerated. I didn't come home like how some people come home and they be like, oh, it's a badge of honor. I just came home from Comstock. I'm a tough guy now. I didn't want anybody to know I had just been released from incarceration. I just came home from prison. So I wanted to make a conscious effort to have a different mentality, a different path, and to change the course of my life. And it was funny because I found out that going on a job interview is a lot easier than going before the parole board. Because the parole board, you asking for your freedom, you asking for your life back. I could talk my way into a job. You know? So it's funny because generally when I did go on a job interview, because I had this kind of the attitude that like I can do this, and I put my best foot forward. So I was generally successful. So it took me a few years to get it all out of my system, but that negative stereotype carrying around as if going to jail is something to be proud of, I shook that off. I shook that off real early in the game, and I made it a definite perspective of mine to be forward thinking and be progressive, and to put myself in positions where I could be successful step by step. It didn't happen all at once, but more than anything, because I had parents and I had family members, one thing that motivated me was, and I had children. That's my youngest son standing right there. And one of the things that was important to me was, because my mother suffered with me throughout my whole incarceration. And
She's his teacher. I'm his teacher.
Oh, wow.
And it was important to me because I watched my mother suffer and pray for me during the whole time that I was incarcerated. And one of the important things to me was I wanted to be a better son. Because the son, like he said, my mother didn't actually raise me that way. You know, and like he said, those were my choices and my decisions. And I felt her pain and she felt guilty. And I wanted to erase her, absolve her of all that guilt. And so I wanted to show her that she raised a good man. So that was part of my motivation also.
Wow. Did you answer already? Did you
No.
get Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Like
The
the brother
stories are
said,
so profound. I'm sorry, I'm caught up.
like the brother said, the perception is that people don't change. You know, you can't trust them. You know, they'll lie to you, they'll steal from you, they'll kill you, they'll hurt you, right? But when you release from prison, you got a lot of proving to do, especially if you committed that crime, particularly to your family, who was supportive to you. They want to see when you get out, that you come home, you're gonna be a changed man.
Change woman.
Changed woman, excuse me, you're right. Again, sisters and brothers, although I went to prison for something I ain't do, when they released me from prison, I went home. May my mother rest in peace. God allowed me to see her before she was called home.
Wow.
And I had a bag in my hand. I dropped the bag in the kitchen, it was just like I pictured it. My mother was sitting in the chair. I dropped on my knees and I said, Ma, I want to beg you for your forgiveness. She said, boy, get up off the floor. You ain't got to beg me. You home now. You here with your friends. I said, no, Ma, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for when I was 11 years old, when I was 12 years old. When the police would call you at night and tell you that they got me in a precinct for breaking into something. I want to apologize for the shame and hurt I put on you. Before my mother was called home, she got to see a change in me.
Amen.
I used to go to my mother's church, hang out with her and all that. She used to see me doing it and all that. I'm all right with that. Only thing about it that my mother went to a grave with me being convicted for a murder, right? By God's grace, my sisters, my brothers, my kids, my grandkids, they got an opportunity to see that. So I'm a little bitter behind what the system do, right? But that's what the perception is with society. We got proven to do. We got to show people today that we changed. You know what I'm saying? We change agents, right? And we're going to come out here, we're going to work, or we're going to do something. We're not going to cause no harm to nobody no more like we did prior to us coming in, right? Those are misconceptions, right? And you know where the misconceptions come from? The misconceptions come from the people who make these conditions for us and puts us into these positions, right? For us to be in and out of these prisons. So we got to prove it to do it to our family and our community. Everybody else outside of that, don't worry about them, especially if you change. Because it's important, because we destroyed our community. Selling drugs, robbing, shooting, well, we did. We destroyed the place. That's why I said fire. I was part of setting that fire the last time I was out here. So the work I do speaks volumes to that today.
Thank you for that. And I just want to point out, wow, so powerful. The Social Justice Network, our organization, is comprised of people that serve time in prison. I didn't serve time in prison myself, but my husband did 30 years in prison, and I waited for him. 30 years.
When the men done?
Yes. This sister over there, and I'm calling you out. She did 18 years, 11 years in the federal penitentiary. Can you walk a mile of her shoes? Dee did 18 years in the federal penitentiary. The founder did 19 years in the penitentiary. So we are here, and I get to chills when I talk about it. We started this because we lived these experiences. I know what it's like to have, once they take a man from the community, and I don't want to take away from the panel, but just want to share, once a family member leaves the family or the community to go to prison, it's detrimental.
That's right.
It's detrimental.
That's right.
Because the woman got to step up. Somebody got to raise the kids.
That's right.
The woman got to step up. So I just wanted to point that out. We're here not because, we're here because we know what it's like. We lived this experience.
That's right.
And this is the way we give back.
That's right.
We give back to our community. And again, this is how we keep each other. We gotta unite. That's the only thing that's gonna say. We gotta stop looking at each other and thinking, oh, I want that, or you got that, or why you got that, or thinking we up and down. Whether you came from Panama, Jamaica, DR, PR, they all see us as one. They don't see us different. Not just wanted to share that.
That's
Yes. So we all one, y'all. But we gotta remember that.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So of course you talked about in your bio that healing the community begins with healing oneself. Talk a little bit about why healing oneself is so important.
Well, oftentimes, earlier I said that survival will breed identity, right? So when I grew up, I had to be a lot of different things in order to survive. And when Louder, please. Sure.
Sorry, honey.
And at the end of the day, when it's just me, I still have to live with me. So I have to face even the lies I may have told myself that day, things that I have done, whether anybody's seen me do it or not, right? Just being able to live with myself, my own consciousness, my own moral compass. And if I don't heal myself, if I'm not able to face myself, how do I interact with others? Then if I hate myself, how do I love you? You know, so it has to start and end with me. There's nothing that I could have did for my child if I didn't do it for myself first. So even and the point of clarity and healing, like the blessing is to be able to go out in the community and pay it forward and for it to multiply, you know, in a way where that's how we grow in a loving community. So if I love myself, if I'm taking care of myself, if I'm doing the truth, if I have self-preservation, then I'm not angry, upset, frustrated, huffing and puffing, or burnt out when I come to do my job. When somebody comes to me and it may be too heavy for them that day, am I able to carry them or hold space for them? If I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not healing, if I'm in a position of just inner turmoil. So,
Thank you for that. Wow. So we have about 10 more minutes. I just want to ask if a member of the audience has a question for anyone in the panel. Some people may be thinking some stuff. If not, it's fine. Ms. Eric?
Yes, I'd like to ask the panel, what would you say to the young people?
Well, that
What
was going to
message?
be my closing question. Go ahead.
What would you say to our young people here today? Starting with your sister.
want to start with me? Okay. What I would say to young people is,
Speak up a little, please.
sure. What I would say to young people is to learn yourself, to learn what you like, and to learn how to be, to not be afraid of quiet times, right? Because if you know what you like, then you're not going to be easily influenced. You can learn to speak up, like to use your voice. It's okay not to like the same things that your friends like. It's okay to have your own interests, because when you know who you are, you're not easily moved.
It's funny, on a personal level, the first thing I like to stress all the time is education. My son, where you go? He goes to a gifted Italian school. His teacher is there in the back. I guess you can attest to that. I've got 2 other daughters. One is in Florida. She's a nurse. She's a traveling nurse. I got another daughter. She graduated from Baylor University. She's in Texas. She has a degree. So education is first and foremost. But me, myself, a lot of times, I grew up playing basketball. I was a real sports head. And I still am. My TV stay on ESPN. I love sports. I love the coach. I participate in tournaments and things of that nature. So a lot of times, I come in contact with kids that are from our neck of the woods, from our streets. And everybody might not be inclined to be, to go to an academic institution. So, like Turco said, find something that you like. Make yourself valuable.
Right.
Make yourself a valuable commodity
Right.
to society.
Right.
Don't get lost in the streets.
Right.
Because nowadays the streets are different.
Right.
There was a certain code of ethic. I mean, like I said, crime is a moral problem, and it has to deal with your moral compass. But at the same token, when guys, me and Rennie A's growing up, it was certain things you didn't do. Like he brought up that incident that happened on Humboldt Moore Street with that little 7-month-old baby got shot in the head, and her brother, 2 years old, he got grazed by a bullet. It was things that we just didn't do. Like, you wouldn't shoot. If we saw somebody and you had a problem with somebody, if they was with their mother, their child, you got to pass. You know, it's just certain code of ethics and morals and values that need to be taught, that's not being taught. And we need to get back to having a certain framework or some type of cultural norms and dictates. But first and foremost, find something you like. How I went to college a few times when I was incarcerated, but nowadays they eliminated higher education in the prison system. That's why I don't call it correctional facility, because they're not correct. It's up to you to change your own behavior. And so I found things that I could do. Later on, I was a barber for years. I learned when I first came home, I cut hair. That was my way of staying out of trouble. I cut hair. I wound up getting a job with the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. I got my CDL license while I was there. When I stopped working at the Parks Department, I utilized my CDL license. So I think it's important. So now I went from driving trucks, so now I work for Amtrak. I moved locomotives, trains. So I say find something that you're good at, find your place in life, and know that we can help ourselves. And so you gotta look inside yourself, look inside your community, and learn to be an asset to your community as opposed to a liability.
Right.
You know what I mean? We did a lot of damage. Growing up. It's funny because I knew Rennie didn't know me, but I knew of Rennie because I was incarcerated with his co-defendant.
Wow.
And I heard his name. So I can vouch for the type of guy Rennie was because I heard about him. You understand what I'm saying? And so these are the things that we embrace when we're young, when our mind is twisted, we going in the wrong direction, and we engaging in that self-destructive behavior that's not good for us and it's not good for our communities. So that's what I want to tell you today. Know that you got a nuclear family and look at your community as part of your extended family, because we can help ourselves. So if we don't reach out and help somebody else, we're not gonna be able to make it. We're not gonna go to a whole nother level that we need to be.
Yeah, just what the brother said, education. I would tell brothers and sisters about that frying pan. I said you could touch that frying pan if you want to and get burned. I'm here to tell you that it's hot. How I know it's hot? Because I touched it and it burned me, right? That's how I'm gonna start out with, but I'm gonna let them know to go after that education, because the more educated you are, the more valuable and successful you will become in society. When you do look at statistics of people who are in jail, 93% of the people who are in jail, I'm not even talking about upstate yet, are uneducated. And they're sitting in them jail cells because they're limited in their education, right? Education is key. When you're educated, you can think. People can't think for you. They can't tell you to go do this and do that, because you know right from wrong, because you're educated. Education is the start, like this brother just said. It's the start and the all in all. You could do things, you could be creative. I see some of the young things these young brothers and these sisters be doing, they're very creative. I got a 15-year-old grandson. I tell him I don't reward bad behavior. I spoil him and his sister, right? Get them everything, because they're doing great. But you know, both of them came in contact with some type of detention. Hurt me to my heart. My daughter would not go get them. She's calling the phone cursing. I'm not going to get them, Dad. You go get them, whatever, right? God wanted me to go get them. You know why? Because God wanted me to see what I dragged my mother through when I was their age. When I got each of them in the car 2 different times, I said, how do you feel being detained when you couldn't move and all that? My grandson thought I was going to hit him. I said, nah, grandson, I ain't going to hit him. Let's go get a pizza. Let's talk about it. I gave him money that day because I told him how you got to supplement your income. I sent him $75, sell candy in school. Later on that night, he in the supermarket scanning, faking like he's scanning. So when we in the supermarket, when we in the pizza shop, I'm showing them the cameras. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know. I said, grandson, you can't get away with crime. I said, you don't have to steal. I give you everything you want. That showed me that I'm not really on top of you. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't make this up next week. Next month, my granddaughter. I buy her everything. She's stealing. $127 condition. Now I bought her one of them bags, GMG bags, right? I didn't think about it at the time, but they pulled my coat. I'm thinking those was my grandkids' first time stealing. Somebody said, no, that's their first time getting caught. So, wow, you're right. I'm visualizing my granddaughter. See, because they live in Jersey. She's living out of the house with her little big bag, and she's going to them stores. She got money. And she's putting stuff in the bag. On that day, she got caught. When she came from out in the back of the precinct, She got them, what's that rapper name? Kanye West sneakers, right? She got the bag I bought her, got her hair done, because she's 20 years old, got her nails done. You know what I'm saying? She got her head dropped down. She don't even want to look at me. I asked her the same question I asked my grandson. Only thing she told me, I was just scared of white people. I said, you know what, Malika? I said, if you continue this lifestyle, you're going to get so pushed so far in this system that you ain't going to be around with nothing but white people who don't like you solely because of the way you look. Now, have they stopped? I don't know. By God's grace, I hope they did, because I told them about me, right? Because I got grandkids that's affected by this. We got to cut and break that cycle of incarceration. That's what we got to do. So that's important what we got to tell the youth. But we got to be consistent, because I remember when I was in prison, and I had to speak to the young brothers that was involved in, I don't like to call them gang, in the youth organization. And the young dude told me, he said, Ringy, you older brother got to be consistent, and you got to be firm. You can't be punks trying to tell us to change our lives. I learned that, so that's why we got to do with these young brothers out here, because they don't know about consequences. Them two young brothers, man, they may be in prison for the rest of their life for that crime that they committed. And you know what our community gonna say? That's they do.
Yeah.
Because they killed that little baby, right? So we undivided with them. For those 3 lives that were destroyed.
Yeah.
And we gotta do better. We gotta get in front of these 8 balls.
Yeah.
And stop this. We gotta stop being victims. We gotta stop being criminals. That's us doing it. So education is at the forefront.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you said they stopped like the higher education in prison.
They stopped
Yeah,
it.
they stopped it.
They
You
stopped
know
it.
why I think they stopped it? We went to UFT at a debate where Harvard law student debated some guys in prison. And it was remarkable. The guys won. They won. Because I think anytime black people start stepping up,
Yeah.
they always try to put you
Yeah.
back down.
Yeah.
And that's the reason. Because they know once they educate
Yeah.
men and women of color, we're going to rise.
Right.
And they don't want that.
We're unstoppable.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And you have another hand.
Who's? Well, yes. Go ahead.
I
got
have
about
2
5 more
separate
minutes.
questions, one for you, Turquoise, and one for the men on the panel. So, Turquoise, I wanted to ask you, do you offer like any mentorships? Because a lot of people in our community are not getting the healing that they need because they don't see too many healers that look like us.
I do. So I just started the first. I just completed the first cohort for the Collective Healing Fellowship. I hold courses and I hold space. I have a space in the Women Building, the Up Building, and on 401 State Street. So you can connect with me and get my information.
And for the brothers, because you guys were saying that you came from single parent homes, your mothers raised you right. I know that situation because I have a 28-year-old who went to prison even though he was raised right. He started in Man Up at the time. He was 8 years old. Now 20 years later, he actually works for Man Up. So, but in the in-between time, we went through a lot. He went to prison. It was the toughest time of my life because that's my best friend. So I would like to know, what advice could you as men give the single women who are raising these young men alone? What advice could you give them, or how can we help ourselves? Because we can't relate to them. We know what y'all are going through, but we're not men, so we don't know how to address the situation in a way that a man would. So is there any advice that you could give the single mothers to help that?
It sounds like to me you did all the right things. You had him in Man Up at the age of 8. Was he inclined? Was he athletic? Did he like sports?
He was very athletic. He played basketball, the African drum. He was in dance. He was in the marching band. He was in everything. But raising him in East New York was very difficult because he was a kid who everybody in my house is musically inclined. So when you're this color and you're listening to Avril Lavigne, that's not the end thing to be doing, you know? So he gets outside and all his friends are doing this and doing that. And at that time, I hadn't gone through my healing process. So I was raising him in the discipline that I was raised with, because it was the only thing that I knew, which was putting B to A, which is not always the best route, because when once he got past this stage and we were able to have a sit down, he told me, all you did by putting B to A was make me able to take a punch. So if somebody run up on me, it's go time.
But let me say this to you. Don't blame yourself. Because I can attest to this. The streets, we talked about addiction. The streets have a certain magnetism onto themselves. It has a draw, it has a pull. And some of us are inclined to be addicted by that lifestyle. You know, I had 3 older brothers. They like to dress, like to have money, talk slick, be slick, drive nice cars. That had a draw. That attracted me. That had a strange attraction to me. So at this point, some of us have to go through a journey. That was your son's journey. But I'm gonna tell you something. Even though I don't have many regrets, because what I went through helped shape me as a person. It helped define me. It helped make me a better father for my son. So now I can balance right and wrong. I can balance street and corporate, enterprise. So I see the difference. But don't beat yourself up about that belt to ass. Because we needed that. At the time, we needed that. You understand what I'm saying? And luckily, through the grace of God, your son is a productive member of society today. And sometimes we just have to go through that cycle. And sometimes we just got to, it's a school of hard knocks. It's a hard knock life. And sometimes we just got to take them few lumps, wake us up, because the streets have a hell of a draw. They have a serious magnetism to some of us, and we get caught up in it. And I can speak for that myself.
So in the sake of time, I'm sorry. We're gonna end, and I'm sure any of the panelists and anybody in the audience wants to speak to them after and stay connected, they can, right? But this was so powerful, I think. We're in our community every day. And me and our son, we had a conversation a while ago about how we live in the same community. We don't even say good morning to each other. We don't even speak to each other. We live in the same building, and we walk past each other. And on 4, we got the people that think somebody is living on another level, is got more than them. But we live in the same damn building. We can't have no more than each other because we're neighbors. Right? So now, we talked a little bit about the Social Justice Network and what's behind Can You Walk a Mile in My Shoes. So now it's up to us to take the next step. We don't know what anybody is going through. So when we see our neighbor, maybe sometimes we speak, they don't speak. They may be in a domestic violence situation. Their son or daughter may have been arrested the night before. We just don't know what we're going through, but trust and believe. If we in this community, we all going through the same thing.
That's right. That's right.
We all going through the same thing.
That's right.
It don't matter if it's Bronx, East New York,
That's right.
Washington Heights, South Bronx, Bed-Stuy, Jamaica, Queens, Staten Island. We going Chelsea. We going through it as a people. We going through it. And we don't, and then black people, we have this thing, we don't want nobody to know our business. Because what some others were saying, what goes on in this household stays in this household. That means something's going on. That shouldn't have been going on. But take this, you know, so now when we see each other, our neighbors, just understand, we don't know what we're going through. We just don't know. So we need to start, and when we see the youth, we need to take a moment sometime and not act like we don't see it. Sometimes, when we see them doing the wrong thing, sometimes we gotta stop them. We gotta stop them. Sometimes, okay, some people say to be scared. We have to get that voice in our head and not get you. But if it's a situation where we can, we gotta at least come together as adults. Yes.
I just wanted to say something to the young lady who says you be scared. And I can understand that because you don't know who's who. But sometimes you gotta feel the vibes. You can feel the vibes.
Yeah, that's very
And it's not always what you say, but it's how you say it.
Right.
That's why before I tell a young brother to pull their pants up, I'll say, "Oh, you fine. You so cute." And I say, "Pull your pants up, bruh. Come on, bruh. Nobody wanna look at your butt." And he'll say, pull his pants. You know, it's always not what you say, but you could. But you trust me. I feel you because when it's knucklehead.
I know it's the music to
keep
keep
going.
energy off. Everybody want to be the tough guy, you know, until they come
Right.
across a tough guy.
Right.
So,
Right.
I try my best.
Yeah.
But it's all
This is here. We do this every year.
Yeah.
The first Saturday in April. So come out, spread the word. Thank you for coming. Right, one more thing. Just want to say, how many of you can walk a mile in any of your shoes?
Hi, thank you for watching. Don't forget, tune in next week to Cultural Spectrums and Jazz Pearls. Same time, same station. Until then, peace be with you.